Hi, my name is Pauline Chavez Hamiden. I am reviewing the book on extinction, how we became estranged from nature, published in 2012 by Counterpoint. Its author is Melanie Challenger. This book is separated into three different sections, corresponding with three different trips the author took. The first section is called the First Peregrination, and she visits three different sites in Cornwall: West Penwith, the Ding Dong Tin Mine, and Priest Cove. These areas are connected because you see how advancements in human technology and also advancements because driven by need due to overpopulation or the growing population at that time drove people to inflict damage into the environment and also ultimately decimating the fishing industry of Priest Cove and the mining industry at Ding Dong Tin Mine, and also the agricultural community of West Penwith in Cornwall. Next, the author visits South Georgia Island, Antarctica, and the Falkland Islands. This is part of her second peregrination, and it's the second part of the book. In South Georgia Island, she visits an abandoned whaling station, and she considers how the advancements that led to the decline of the fishing industry in Priest Cove also led to the decline of whales. And even though there are laws and laws were developed to help the population of whales recover, they never really did, because as the whaling industry collapsed, advancements in plastics and in the use of biofuels led to global pollution that has acidified the oceans and inhibited the whales from again establishing a healthy population. And not only is it driving the whales to extinction, it's driving a whole, basically all ocean life to extinction. In Antarctica, she considers how these advancements and the knowledge that we have acquired of the effects of our advancements would not really have been possible if it wasn't for all the research that is being done in Antarctica. But it's these very advancements that allows us to survive in such an inhospitable environment. Next, when she goes to the Falkland Islands, she examines the concept of extinction by way of cultures. So she talks about the missionary villages there that are, of course, now abandoned, that drove the local indigenous population to extinction. And this was because they were motivated to convert the local indigenous population to Christianity, because social philosophy told these missionaries that they would help them find the indigenous people find God if they could get them away from their kind of wild ways. And in these indigenous cultures were, of course, very close to nature. But as they begin to adopt the philosophical and religious view of the European missionaries, we see the decline and eventual extinction of these indigenous groups. Her final peregrination takes her through North Yorkshire, Manhattan, on her way to Baffin Island in Canada. In North Yorkshire, she observes another abandoned whaling station in, of course, her home country of UK, and she notices that this area too has been overtaken by a tourist industry that is kind of capitalizing on an extinct community. And she just kind of touches again on the idea that our separation from nature is so complete that even we can't seem to look back and ask ourselves why and take responsibility for the extinction that we are creating. Instead, we are celebrating that extinction by capitalizing on it, as is the tourist industry in North Yorkshire. In Manhattan, she again brings back the concept of decimation of culture. And this time she talks about how Manhattan, is representative of a lot of international cities around the world where business is conducted in standard English. And language is considered to be kind of a living thing. And our standard English is it basically infiltrated the business world and assimilated and driven to extinction other languages in these international cities, and their subtleties and the diversity of different cultures. So we think of globalization as advancement, but again we see another form of extinction. In Baffin Island, she talks about a modern day extinction of the Inuit culture. And this area of Baffin Island is home to two women who are working very hard to establish the Inuit culture and language. Unfortunately, it's not going very well because their language and culture is centered around a way of life, which traditionally would be hunting for survival, but climate change and global warming basically has decimated that way of life, and they're no longer able to hunt the way they used to. Their environment has changed too much, and so now you see a high level of alcohol abuse and domestic violence and suicide in the Inuit community. The book's main ideas is that as humanity advances, we estrange ourselves from nature, and that inevitably leads to extinction of systems and eventually ourselves. The major themes are technological advancement, the brutality in human nature, disassociation and estrangement from nature, and the extermination of systems that lead to our own extinction. I think the author very successfully presented the premise, and she established a clear pattern of advancement leading to domination and estrangement and dissociation to extinction. And she can apply it to environment and culture, and then uses history and political and scientific events to clarify the link. The only critique that I have for the book is that it can be very difficult to read at times because the author kind of abrupt doesn't transition the concepts, not the concepts, but rather the parts of the book very well. So she goes from very poetic self-reflection to historical information to what's happening right at the moment with her, and it can leave you feeling a little discombobulated. But she really did reinforce the idea that we are kind of a self-destructive creature, and we need to consider how to better modify our nature, and that escape to other planets, if we trash this one, is really just not possible because we're basically going to take the destruction with us. I would recommend this book to someone who is interested in a very thought-provoking, critical thinking book, and somebody who is interested in environmental science. I think that they will greatly enjoy the book on extinction. And again, this is a book that I felt opened a narrative for us to consider and take responsibility for our participation in our global crisis. Thank you.